Now, one substance that people do risk going to jail if they are caught in the possession of this substance is hemp, or cannabis, sometimes referred to by the slang term marijuana. It's not commonly known that the hemp plant is not only medicine, but it's a superfood. And as we're about to hear from Dr. Patrick Quillen, who is the former Vice President of Nutrition for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, he calls it the most useful plant on earth. Talk real quickly, if you will, about the medicinal effects of the hemp plant, or cannabis.
Hemp cannabis is arguably the most useful plant on earth. If you do a history of it, you look at canvas, which is what our ancestors used for the Conestoga wagons and for their clothing. Canvas comes from the word cannabis, because cannabis was the material that they used to make all of their clothing and canvas. It lasts longer than cotton or polyester. If you go back and look at your history, it was around 1937 when DuPont got its patent for polyester, and that was the beginning of the witch hunt to get rid of cannabis because it was competition. You look at, you can use it for paper pulp, for clothing. You can eat it, food. The seeds are high in omega-3 fats, high in protein. The oils from hemp oil is delicious, nutty tasting, and high in omega-3s. And then there's the medicinal parts, the cannabinoids. There are many studies that have been done. One of them, for instance, the DEA, Department of Drug Enforcement Agency, decided they wanted to prove how unhealthy marijuana was. And so they went to a major researcher at UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles, and said, we want you to prove that smoking marijuana causes lung cancer. He said, shouldn't be a problem. They did a huge study, prospective randomized trial, and he said, not only it doesn't cause it, it actually helps to prevent it. THC has an anti-cancer property. I'm not telling people you should smoke marijuana. I'm telling you that we need to have a rational discussion on marijuana, hemp, cannabis, because there's an abundance of data now that says that it's non-toxic and has therapeutic benefits. The CBD, the cannabinoids, apparently there are cannabinoid receptors in the human body, and it's almost as if nature designed, here's lock and key, and this fits in, and it improves. It's a adaptogen, not unlike ginseng or garlic or substances that just make everything work a little bit better.
We're learning what's known as, what we all have, an endocannabinoid system, or endocannabinoid receptors, or cannabinoid receptors within the body. There are certain foods that contain these cannabinoids. There are certain abilities to produce some from within as well. But these receptors are present almost everywhere in the body, particularly heavily entrenched in the gastrointestinal system, the liver, the brain, the nervous system, interestingly enough. And what we're finding, the impact of the two key cannabinoids, they're not the only ones, the cannabidiol, which is CBD, the non-psychoactive component it's considered, and the THC, the tetrahydrocannabinol, which you say also well. And those two aspects, which the THC is considered the psychoactive component, it alters the state of the mind, and that's been argued as the dangerous addictive drug, which now doctors like Sanjay Gupta and others say, well, maybe it's not really that addictive at all. In fact, it might have benefit. And we're finding out in relation to certain cancers, not just one or two, but many cancers, a tremendous benefit. Some to stimulate the apoptosis, right, the cellular death. Others to address protection of cells, neurological cells, brain and nervous system cells from cancer. A lot of epithelial integrity relying upon the impact of these cannabinoids. We talk about gastrointestinal recovery, seizure disorders in children and adults. A lot of it is actually sourced right there in that second brain, in the gut. And in these cases, we're seeing the use of CBD, sometimes THC, or both together, are reversing these cancers and reversing even seizure activity, seizure disorders.
So are there studies that have shown that there's effectiveness with the CBD and the THC against cancer?
Oh, an incredible amount. It's almost too much to go through. If we talk about the references that we have here for breast cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, stomach cancer, skin cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, lung cancer, uterine cancer, thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, cervical cancer, mouth cancer, glioma, brain cancer, and biliary tract cancer, biliary. So we've got tremendous amount of scientific research. A 2007 Harvard Medical School study published in Science Daily showed that hemp's THC decreases lung cancer tumors by 50% and significantly reduces the ability of the cancer to metastasize. I mean, this is huge. Again, this is just one of many things. Here it is, cannabinoids. This is directly from a United States patent. This is the shocker. Cannabinoids, including THC and cannabidiol, promote the reemergence of apoptosis so that tumors will stop dividing and die. This is a profound. Now, I'm not one that says there's one panacea that does everything for everyone. But if there was a plant, to look at one plant that does so many extraordinary things, this cannabis plant, which is sometimes wrongly referred to as in marijuana as the slang, or hemp as well, in many forms has so much from a nutritional value, but now we learn more and more about its specific value in reversing cancers that are active, much less in their prevention.
It's not a gateway to more drugs, it's a gateway to health. And I'm not smoking it, I'm not using it. I think it should be legalized and available and taxed and regulated so that we have standardized concentrations of it. If you compare it to the $280 billion a year drug industry, and according to an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association, at least 100,000 Americans die each year from the on-label use of prescription drugs. Find me the deaths from cannabis.
They're not there.
They aren't there.
While we were in London, we also had the privilege of interviewing a gentleman named David Hibbett. Now, in July of 2012, he was diagnosed with stage 3 aggressive bowel cancer. He did a couple of rounds of chemo, and he was told twice that he was cancer-free. And that's where our story picks up.